Hi folks, Steven here. So I wanted to talk about sort of a gulf that I've perceived in the way music is covered between sort of the surface level stuff and then sort of the more professional stuff. There seems to be somewhat of a hole in the middle, at least to me. In any event, what made me think about this was earlier today I was watching a YouTube video called The Martyr Who Saved Speedrunning. It is fairly appropriate. Most of the bad words are kind of bleeped out, but there are a few things in there. But I will put a card in that so you can take a look if you're interested. But basically what it's about is about speedrunning, and sort of someone about a year ago posted a rant/editorial on YouTube talking about some deficiencies he had observed in the speedrunning community, and felt that there was sort of a lack of content or outreach from speedrunners to their audience. And this was sort of preventing there from being a link, preventing folks from getting into it, and stuff like that. And the author of this video sort of went on to say that since then, perhaps related, perhaps not, there's been an uptick in the amount of sort of content that isn't just the straight speedrun itself, that sort of tries to bridge that gap between the audience for these types of runs and sort of how those things are made, and sort of explain that. One of these that I've been following for a while is Summoning Salt. He does a lot of history of speedrunning records for various games. He did a Pokemon one not too long ago. But thinking about that video as I was watching it, I sort of realized, I think we might have a similar problem with music. There is a lot of surface level coverage, and I don't want to be too harsh on it, but there's always that stuff about what's this musician wearing, or how did this musician get in an argument with this other one, and less so kind of about the actual content, talking about it structurally or whatever. And there's some deeper knowledge out there if you want to go look for it, but it seems to be aimed at people who are very deep in the music. Either they produce it, or they've taken lessons, or have a music theory background, and not so much at folks who want to learn more, but maybe don't have a full music vocabulary. And if you compare that to gaming, if you look on YouTube, you're going to find a zillion videos talking about the latest video game, analyzing it in great detail from both large and small creators. And at least in the times I've searched for it, I haven't found as much on music, and in particular some of the music that I listen to, which tends to be much more soundtrack focused. And of course, you may know that we do this discussion series I do with Anne from PvP Podcast, where we talk about the ending songs of the various Pokemon movies, comparing Japanese to English. And both of us do have some definite experience. My parents are current or former orchestra teachers. I took cello lessons and some choir stuff growing up, and I've been listening to music ever since. And she has somewhat of a theater background. I think she has an arts degree and has done at least some local stuff. But I do try to design those discussions in such a way that you don't need to have a big background in music or music theory or any of that. And I would like to take this time to sort of just ask how we're doing in that regard, and make sure that it's meeting needs, or if there's things we can improve on. Now, in addition to that, I did kind of want to mention I have found one show that does cover soundtracks. It is appropriately enough called The Soundtrack Show. It's a podcast from How Stuff Works. And they're relatively new, but they sort of cover the gamut. They have episodes on movies, they do video games, they just recently did an episode on Super Mario Brothers, and other stuff like that. So I think that's heading in the right direction. But so what I'd like to know from you is, do you think that I'm right about this, and there is sort of a dearth in between the sort of surface level and the professional level, and that there should be more in there? And if so, what? And is there any content you'd like to see either from me or from the music community at large? So if you have any opinions on any of that, go ahead, give us a comment. We always love that. All right, folks, thanks.